Who's doing it?
Sup?
Yo, 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 yo.
All right, Robin, you got it.
Nah, we had to do a complimentary introduction.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna come in with us up with it, so I just
Hey,
did
man.
my own thing as usual.
You mind gamed me. Sup with
Yeah.
it. How's everybody doing?
Doing great, dude.
Season 7, Episode 3 of Meleeed on Me, the podcast. I have some awesome guests. Nick in the background, our faithful steed. We'll start with you, Robin. How are you doing?
Sup? Just eating my dinner, prepping for the Michigan Arcadian, which is gonna be fun this weekend. Always love these kinds of events.
Nice. How many people you got signed up?
We have 192, and we decided to cap it at 192 just because last time we had up to like the mid 200s, and that was kind of hard to handle in one day.
Yeah.
Because we
so
still
is
are
this-
trying to do round robin pools, and because of that, we don't want to go past 200.
Yeah. Is this strictly Michigan, or are you accepting Ontario, Ohio, Indiana as well?
Going into it, we said it's going to be Michigan only until the last week of registration, and if there's spots open, then we're going to open it up. But 192 Michigan players signed up, so that's
Wow.
going to be that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Sheridan, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm live from Dr. Girlfriend's house.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Dr. Girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Does she respond to Dr. Girlfriend? I'm sure
Yes,
she does.
that is her smash tag now.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be going to the Northwest Majors Manifest, whatever it's called, next week.
Okay. I forgot that.
okay,
tournament was
okay.
going on.
Whoever runs those needs to come up with better names because, like, the first one of those is like Northwest Manifest is like NWM, and if you look at those three letters on a keyboard, like on a text, it's like okay, those three letters
like
are some combination of like M and N and W and something. Like,
yeah, we should have Northwest Majors featuring Nicholas M. Whittier.
yeah, that would be really
NWM
shitty for whatever
NFW.
stream graphic it is, like NMW at NWM Majors or whatever. Yeah, dude. So when is that tournament?
That's a week from this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I might be heading to Pittsburgh with some Michigan homies next week. We'll see. Haven't been out of state for anything in a while. I've been out of state more like flying out of state than driving for, it seems, the last 4 or 5 months. It'll be good to road trip it up with the homies.
Okay, cool. And Tafokints, how's your life? You're back from the summit.
Dude, I wish I never left, man.
Dude, it looks super fun.
That's what everyone keeps saying. Tell us.
Yeah, so the first item on our agenda tonight is going to be just discussing the summit. So since you were the only one of us that was there, just give us the full scoop.
It was just like amazing. I feel really privileged because I was also invited to E3, and both experiences felt really similar. Where they just had like the 20 or so of us just fully accommodated for like housing, food. It was just like a super homey fest where we could play friendlies, we could take a nap, we can drink beer, we had catered food, we had a couch commentary 4-way action thing. It was really great.
So what were you guys doing? Like, because only a few people are actually playing on stream at any given time. So what was everybody doing like during their downtime?
Sleeping on beanbags. I think we had like 7 friendly setups in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of that, there's only like 20 people. So if you wanted to play Mutant King for an hour, you got that. If you want to play Plup for like 2 hours, you got that. If you want to play West Balls and get some Falco practice, or Johnny for some Falcon practice, like everybody was down to play. And like,
that's awesome.
And I think, to be honest, like I'm actually really surprised that given what you got, more people didn't buy the $500 package, because like if you're like a fan,
I didn't think they knew. Now they know, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
going into it, I know a lot of people around here, people I talked to were like, "Hey, what is Smash Summit again?" If they're not familiar with Dota, it's very easy to pigeonhole this event as just like, "Oh, another outside group just coming in and doing random stuff." But it ended up being like way more prominent than that. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see that.
Because you have to get your own room, but like you got shuttled back and forth to the Summit House.
Hmm.
You got like free food and alcohol. You could invite a friend, and literally like if you're like a mid tier player, you literally could have gone like 20 to 30 hours of practice against top tier talent, and you could have gone like hand picked feedback
Yeah.
from like PP.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
how
was
many
just
people? How many people were there besides the 16? You, Scar, Toph, and like the staff.
the talent. So Reno, MacD, and then this guy named Ryan, who people called Marvin or Meme Man for some reason. And then he invited his friend, and then there's Andrew Wu. So I think there was like five
Oh,
people.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
Andrew.
yeah, Andrew. So Zoo actually like won out on that because I think he paid half of Andrew's ticket
Uh-huh.
for that $1,000 package so that he could get the votes. But I think that helped Zoo get
Oh.
in. But like just all the stuff that
Hmm.
Zoo got, the flight, the hotel, the food, and like just the prize money, like Zoo like got back 3 times in value what he put in for that for Andrew's
Yeah.
ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean I left very impressed. It kind of felt funny because they're asking us like, oh, like how do you guys feel? And we're just like people like asking myself like, oh wow, there's like free food as if like we're the easiest people to take care of. And I think
Yeah.
they handled like the esports people a lot, so they're a little bit more like entitled because they know what they can get. As
Hmm.
smashers, like we don't eat like the whole tournament and we starve to death until dinner. So just the fact that we
Yeah.
have like everything in front of us and they want to take care of us is just like this whole new experience.
Must have been nice for the staff to deal with that. In contrast to like, I'm sure the other esports players are, I don't know, not more entitled, but just more used to being treated, maybe a little bit less gracious than the
Yeah,
Smashers would be, just
Yeah.
because we've been living underground for so long in our like just kind of sloppy grassroots style events.
yeah. So very nice, and then the matches were great, and I think it was just nice to get 4 days of really good content on stream. Even like having Mafia at night, I was surprised that you guys had 15 to 25,000 watching us just play the
Holy
Super Mafia.
crap.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
was surprised too, dude.
it became a
I
cool.
could not bear to watch some like a group of 30 go down to 6. I just had to get the accounts from someone else later.
But it became like a cult hit, and I think it would have actually been interesting if they did like a little bit more of the real world style, where they had like people like with cameras like going into like our conversations. But I felt that even just the larger audience that it doesn't go to tournaments, they got a better feel for what top players are like because we didn't really fake too much. We were just ourselves for most of the weekend.
Hey,
And
can you
Yeah.
talk about speaking of the cameras? Can you talk about how they did the production value with the camera work? Because a lot of times I noticed there was a camera shot of like right above a player's controller, but then it would pan out to the normal player cam and there'd be nothing there. So I'm just kind of wondering, did they have something hanging from the ceiling, or how did they even do that?
they literally had a guy with like a big camera just like going in like this. So
Oh wow,
um,
and it didn't
they
like distract the players?
I don't know. I didn't ask anybody. It looked pretty. It looked pretty invasive because like he was like going underneath the table like this.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
going like this.
that's what I
Um,
figured. Because like, especially for the controller shots, I don't see how you could do that without blocking someone's line of sight, or just literally standing like on a little stepladder over somebody and then zooming in. It was just interesting for me to see that.
yeah. Well, they're sitting down, so you can get the overhead shots pretty well. But
Okay.
that guy was pretty intense. So they had like 2 rooms, one with the couch, and then one room hallway area where people would play their matches. And so and they had
Right.
like lighting everywhere. They knew what to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What did you
Um,
think of the format of the event with the challenges and then the side events? Just the general feel of the format.
So crews and doubles, I really enjoyed. I mean, I think those were pretty high. Maybe it was just fortunate that everything went to last stock or whatever. Challenges, I think, was a good start, but I think it could be fine tuned because I don't know why. I mean, I think most people understood the heart of the challenges, right? It's to like bring a show, but certain players were abusing it for money. And it's like, come on,
Right.
it's like $50. Like when you're winning like thousands this weekend, like do you really have to challenge Swedish Delight in doubles? Like the worst player there when you're going to change.
Zoo
Right,
got
yeah.
challenged like 3 times in doubles. Poor Zoo, man.
Yeah. So I mean, so I think most people got the idea like, hey, like we're gonna bring a show. Like even PP and Mango's Mario Diddles were pretty cool, and I think they understood the entertainment value. I
Dude,
understood like,
the cliff battle in the Mario Ditto was
oh
just
yeah,
ridiculous.
Mango's nuts.
Oh yeah, with like the 5 or 6 techs in a row,
And
Yeah.
then PP
and
did
you
too.
couldn't see it because the
The nuclear
camera.
at it, yeah.
Yeah, you could only see behind the wall. It's like, oh, there's a tech there. There's
Yeah.
Mario sounds and techs. That's pretty exciting.
So there's that. And then I think people figured out the challenge meta because of the redirect. So what people were doing was challenge their friend, and then they would redirect to another guy.
Can you redirect a redirect?
No, you can't. You can only
Oh, well,
redirect
then
once.
that explains it. That's pretty easy then.
So like by day 2, everybody understood the meta.
It's like in Final Fantasy when you cast Reflect on your party and then you cast a spell on them. So
Yeah.
it doesn't get reflected by their opponents.
Right,
Good
right.
strat.
So people
Good strat.
were abusing that on day 2. You'd say.
Yeah. So the meta was figured out. So I think what would be a good idea for challenges is I think if they did like one day where like everybody does a challenge, and I think most people pick pretty well. Like they pick the player that they wanted to like really do well against. Like SFAT chose PP and Westballs, 2 people like he's lost to repeatedly. So I love those challenges. But I think for one of the days, I think we have enough. Like if we know the 16 people early enough, I think we could get creative with some fan votes on like what we want.
Ooh, okay.
And I think that could replace one of the days.
Yeah.
It just the challenges seemed like very hit or miss in terms of like the kind of content that they produce. Like I really like things like the Mario Ditto, like you said, like SBAT challenging somebody that he's gunning for might not necessarily meet in the bracket, but you want to see that match anyway. But then like when you force other challenges and there's just nobody has any good ideas, then it's just kind of like a block of 15 minutes or just like, yeah, it's melee, so it's cool, but there's like kind of some wasted opportunity there. I feel
Yeah.
like.
I would like to see something maybe along the lines of the I'm not yelling teams round robin fan vote. Where you have, a subset of choices and the fans get to discuss and hype up the choices and come to one final option where, okay, you have these matches maybe for day 2 replacing the challenges. Because I think day 1,
Definitely.
an entire day of challenges, I feel like that was pretty good enough for me.
Yeah, I agree. So those are my thoughts. Yeah, it was just an all around good experience. We had an after party where we got to invite people over, so that's why you saw Mike Hayes and other people show up on day 4. Hotel experience was great. It was just really nice. And I think what I really appreciated, and I don't want to do this without kind of sounding elitist, but you go to these large nationals, and to be honest, like I have relationships with most of these players, like expanding to like 5 to 10 years. But because tournaments are so big, I don't get to hang out with them. All I can do is say hi and have a 5-minute conversation, and that's it.
I
But
think
here-
that's what I really like because I'm just thinking about it too. These top players, they probably interacted more like quote unquote in real life with each other this past weekend than in the last 3 years combined. Just because of the amount of like intimate time in one like undistracted environment that they got to play friendlies with each other, actually talk to each other, have a presence, like the couch commentary, the kitchen behind it. It just seemed really like it was a really really refreshing change of pace for me.
I think it's really nice to. It's almost dedicated to getting to know the players as people more, especially through like the first 2 days. And I think that's really great.
Yeah, like if somebody with a rooting interest, they want to root for the human being just as much as the player, right?
Yeah.
If these are all just robots playing the game, like you don't have, it's not the same. There's not that emotional element to rooting for somebody. So I
Mhm.
think in that sense, excellent for community growth.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, I just had a really good time, and let's see, is there anything else that I'd like to say? Yeah, I mean,
I want to suggest people go watch Reno's video where he just walked around and asked people at the event random questions. Just kind of
um,
got
oh
some
god,
candid,
Johnny's like
interesting shots
ridiculous.
there.
Johnny's
Yeah,
so funny.
Johnny he's a paragon of humanity.
Is that how we put it? And
He's yeah.
I think it's funny because so we're all there, right? And you know, going to the tournament, there was the campaigning, right? And so you would think that in theory, because of that, there was going to be a lot of bad blood between players, and I think a lot of people misconstrue it. Like, yes, our internet personas clash, but like we're all drinking beers in a hotel room when push comes to shove, and we're all just hanging out.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
what I mean, what is that basically what you guys did after like the content every night, like at 8 p.m. You just went to what'd you guys do at night? I'm
um,
curious.
so we cleaned up, and we usually left around like 9 to 10 o'clock, and then we got driven back to the hotels. And then I would go with the Crimson Blur, and we'd go to the liquor store and buy alcohol, and then we just all just drink and chill, but in like 3 hotel rooms. Some would play melee. Literally, Armada and Muti King played melee like till like 2
Of
a.m.
course they
Or
did. Of course they
yeah,
did.
Um,
those are
and
the two
then
people who challenged Zoo in teams too.
yeah.
You can kind of tell
That's fucked up.
what approach they took to the event.
So they're super serious, and I actually have to give them a lot of props. I hope the one at the Foundry, like maybe Sheridan, you could prompt them next time, but Dwan like made a lot of like really good observations about like intenseness, like dedication, and like the difference between him and Armada. Because like we all openly admitted that night, it's like, well, that's like why Armada is the best. Like I don't want it
Hmm.
as much as he does, and I think that's what a lot of top players realized.
Yeah.
Um,
Even
so
in like the Iron Man and the draft crews, I think Armada just had a super solid game plan that he fleshed out for those side events.
yeah, so it was just yeah, Armada's ridiculous, and I think he and Leffen just embody like what it's going to take to be the best going up, and I think it's like really interesting. I think the best way I could put it is, you go to the was it 2008 Olympics, the last one that Kobe went to, and then you have all these like really great basketball players just watch Kobe's work ethic, and I think they left that saying like I want to be like Kobe, like I want to work as hard as him, like the Dwayne Wade's, the Kevin Durant's,
Was
like
that
this.
the Redeem team?
Yeah, that was the Redeem team, I believe. And so I honestly think a lot of people left that tournament with this like ingrained subtle like ingrained mindset. It's like okay, like I know what I need to do to be the best. I know what it takes to like be the best, and like I think there's like a renewed drive for a lot of the players that went.
Very
So
nice. So
And
that's interesting because that makes me feel like the narratives that come off the summit for like future events might have more to do with exactly what you're talking about, Tafokints, as opposed to the results of the bracket. So my question to you is like how seriously do you take the bracket? And I mean, given that this is like an invitational event, is this the same as any other national, or is this like kind of more of a funsies local?
okay, okay. If you got 13th place, you got $300. To even if you're in losers round one and you go out, the two people that go into losers round one, they are playing for $329 just to get to the next round. The round after that, another like $329.
Mm-hmm.
These like there's a lot at stake here. I would not count it as just a local where you win like $100 for first. I think the stakes were high. Everybody was playing their hardest. We had a really good talent pool. I would just compare this to like a day three of a national where it just so happened that we just played top 16 bracket. Um,
wow.
it was really intense. You know, right from the get go, you know, everybody knew who they're playing going into bracket from the night before. Mango was grabbing like X player, Muti King was grabbing this player, Johnny was grabbing a Sheik main. So they're all like going really hard on the pre-practice even before the stream even started. Like that friendlies room that you know you may have seen pictures of, they were all like targeting and practicing like insane amounts just to make sure that they could win.
It's good to see him.
Yeah. Anyway, should we move on?
Let's talk about the results of the bracket itself then.
Okay.
So I missed kind of the middle of it, but what I wanted to know from you is like the most interesting thing I see in this bracket is Muti King 3-0ing Mango, and then Mango 3-1ing in losers finals.
Yeah.
So what do you what was your takeaway from both of those sets?
So in winners, like, I was just worried that Mango. So Muti King like took every opportunity and ran with it. So I say like you know he did what he did to win. Two of those games, honestly, Mango just down aired off the side, and you know I'm not saying that Mango would have outright won, but he
spotted him game 1 and 2. Those last
game 1 and
times.
That's true.
1 and 3.
Or game 1 and 3. Yeah.
And so those are two games that he threw, and I was just a little bit worried that Mango was like, if Mango had like a player like Hungrybox like right after, I think that would have been like Dunzors for him. And I was actually really worried. As a lot of people commented, said like, why did he salty run back twice? And like, I think the stages were perfectly fine. It was either that or Yoshi's. And Mango and I actually talked, like he respects my opinion enough that he will ask me the night before, like, what are my stage picks and bans? And I said like to him, like, go Fountain, go Yoshi's. If one of those don't work, feel free to go to the other one. Avoid Stadium and Final D. And a lot of people were like watching. It's like, well, why is he salty run backing? And I think some of the commentators talked about that. And I was like, no, that was the right choice. But given that, I think
it's the right choice given, you know,
given the information that you have at the beginning of the set.
Yes, yeah, given the baseline, you know, information, but even the viewers could kind of tell Mango that was like more of a salty run back than oh, I know what I did wrong. Let me go back and use that information again on the same stage. That's at least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah. But like the 2014 Mango would have gone to Pokemon Stadium, and
right.
That would have been kind of questionable. So winners, you know, Muti King played off of Mango's tilt, and Muti King, you know, did just enough to make that happen. And so from Muti King's standpoint, very good. And, you know, I think that carried momentum into that Armada set. But, you know, Armada is just an attrition god, and, like, Muti King can have his moments, but when you have that much gameplay at hand in Peach Marth, I don't think Muti King can really win that set.
Yeah, that was probably the slowest paced but most intense Peach Marth set that they've had in a long time. He's been going lots of Fox, lots of Sheik for the last few years. It's been a while since we saw the Marth against Peach.
And I actually watched, I did some match analysis of that set, and to be honest, it was just Muti King like overextending like 3 to 4 times in like some of those matches that made the difference between him having a slight lead and slight losing. Like him like just getting a little bit too greedy on like doing full hot fair and then Armada getting underneath. And
right. Yeah, the risk reward game in that is so tough because like Muti King overextends. Okay, Armada can punish, you know, back air, dash attack, Marth's off stage, you know, turn up him. He that could be like an 80% punish on the overextension. But if Armada makes a mistake, it seems like Muti King just got, you know, a couple little chip hits, but then it just kind of reset to neutral.
Exactly.
So that was, I mean, it was going to be tough to see Muti King pull that one off, just with the way things were going, and that's kind of just how it played out.
Yeah, and so
I feel like the Marth curse is just as real as it possibly can be in that particular matchup, especially the way Armada plays it. Like, when I see Muti King have Armada by the ledge at 0%, Armada is more scared there of dying than at 150%, because there's no follow up after whatever at 150%. But at 0%, he's got to contend with so many different things that Muti King could do as his next move. So I wonder if maybe maybe it's just a matter of picking the way you play the neutral game at low versus high percent. And I really want to see his Marth try to take on Armada more because I feel like Tavo said, like there's a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of punishes that didn't have to happen. And if he kind of cleaned his game up, that could be the one to do it instead of Fox because, you know, Fox gets punished really hard, and it's really easy for Armada to do that. But if Jason can avoid those heavy punishes on Marth, then that attrition game that Armada likes to play against him is not going to be as much in his favor.
Right. And to be honest, like the Fox was barely passable in 2014. It's not going to work in 2015, and it's only going to get worse in 2016.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to keep up. Like you knew eventually in this metagame, it's going to be hard for anybody to play 3 characters. He was the last one left, and I don't know if it even counts anymore as him like maining 3 characters. That it's really been his Marth and Sheik for the last year and a half, 2 years.
And like Armada even said, like in private conversations, like for Mutaking to play Fox, he would have to revamp his whole playstyle.
Do you think? I mean, but do you think Hungrybox he would still keep it for Hungrybox, or is he going to go?
Ooh.
Is he going to try to play the Sheik or Marth game? Because I mean, he's seen Pew Pew do it with Marth, and Dewan has come really close with Sheik. Plup also with Sheik too.
Oh yeah, Plup's done it multiple times.
My worry is this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, I think he should just go his best character. That's Marth / Sheik. You see how Hungrybox eats up other Foxes, and comparing that to Mewtwo King's clearly third best character, a character that he probably doesn't play in bracket except against Puff, and for him to have to be in tip-top shape when he faces Hungrybox on day 3 of a national, that's just such a tall order. I don't think it's any surprise that he has such a losing record versus Hungrybox because of that. And if he just kind of focuses on exploring the Marth versus Puff or the Sheik versus Puff like Plup has done, I think he'd do really well. But I don't know if he's that type of player to be doing that because Mewtwo King's always been like, oh, best matchup on paper, done. I'm going that character. Even like against Ices, you still see him playing Peach. I mean, I tend to say just go your best character and explore that for a little bit more. But Mewtwo King's just not that type of player, so I don't know if he's going to go for that.
And one thing I'd like to add is, like, a lot of people are going to have tunnel vision, and I get this a lot when I ask FM, like, why doesn't Mewtwo King go Fox against Hungrybox, or why, like, oh, he can win as Fox, but he's only won that one set at Paragon in LA, and he's like 1 in 10 in his last 11 sets against Hungrybox. Like, it's really bad. A lot of 3-0s, a lot of 3-1s, and once
a lot of rage quits, 4 stocks.
That rage quit that gave him the 4 stock cost me those points.
Oh no! On the Smash GG, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That was the only 4 stock in top 8
of Paragon Big House.
Big House.
Yeah, you're right. I remember now. Like that fantasy question.
So just to put it in context, Hungrybox and Mewtwo King and Fox Puff for the last 30 matches, Hungrybox is 23-7.
Dude, I think Mewtwo King can do it with Marth. I remember their Smash the Record set. That's pretty much the only data point we have to go off of. I mean, he held his own. I'm pretty sure they were all 1 stock, maybe high percent 2 stocks. If he just focused on that, explore the matchup a little bit, I think he could do it. Like Mewtwo King is a top 6 player for a reason.
And you can, I mean, you could take this with a grain of salt. The one set that they did play as Marth Puff was, special record. It was grand finals. It was an exhibition kind of thing. So you can take it a little lightly. But Mewtwo King took that to Game 5 last stock.
Yeah.
With Marth.
Yeah.
So definitely doable.
And you know what? One of the best matches, one of my favorite matches of all time, actually. Look up Mewtwo King Marth versus Mango Puff on Dreamland at Super Champ combo.
Yes,
that is
7-minute one. That
the
Mango
7-minute
with like
the 7-minute 30-second one. Yes. Hey, don't spoil it for people, Sheridan. There's a lot of Smash babies out there. you know,
That
You're
set's
right.
amazing.
who were
I
in their
bet.
diapers when this set was played. But like, dude, that is one of my favorite sets of all time because Mewtwo is heartily recognizable in this set. Okay, he plays so patient with Marth, and that is proof right there. I don't care if it was 8 years ago. That's proof that Mewtwo can do it. He's got that in him, like the patience and the attrition game to play something like Marth Puff.
Yeah.
Right. I think over the years he's started to recognize when there's like kind of like a 50-50 that he can take, and he'll just always go for them. You know, if there's
Yeah,
because he feels like the risk reward is just in his favor on those. And
yeah.
I think it's except it's like it's not a 50-50 if you do it every time.
Well.
You know, it's but if he can like kind of mix that style up with that super patient game, then even if he didn't like consciously think of it, even if he just like picked a strategy at random, it would be so hard for the opponent to read that he would get so many more off of
Yeah.
drawing people in with overextensions or not making those guesses as predictable.
Okay. Well, we've talked a lot about Mewtwo King. Do you want to discuss kind of I see like on the agenda the shakeup between the MIOM ranks like 10 to 30, that category of players that was at the summit. What did you see from them? What did you learn from the results and the gameplay?
So the gameplay, it doesn't, or the results don't really show it as much as I would like it. But
Mhm.
Zoo, um, oh, he's talking about tipped off 11. But I'll talk about some of the Summit players. Um, Zoo looked amazing the whole weekend to me. It was just unfortunate that the brackets won't ever show that because he went
Right.
2-0.
Right.
Took Axe at game 5, beats West Balls, and overall, like in the challenges, and he just looked really good. Like I think just like from the eye test, when I watched Zoo this weekend, it was like, okay, that's the top 30 player that we've long forgotten in Zoo, because Zoo has been rather quiet in the year overall, and I feel like he gets back into the discussion of like he's probably a top
Yeah.
25 player.
Dude,
Yeah,
did you see? You saw some flashes of like the top 10 player Zoo that we all knew like 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
Do you think there's something to be said about Zoo playing up to the skill level of the demigods, the players of the MIOM rank 7 to 15 level? Whereas if he plays somebody maybe a little lower, a little bit more unknown, in some other nationals on day 2, early day 3, he sometimes tends to struggle with them a little bit more than if he's playing somebody who's like actually way up there in the MIOM rank. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the
Yeah.
impression I
so
get
yeah,
recently.
like playing up or down to their level.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
Hmm.
this was the perfect event for Zoo in that example. So and it showed. His challenge matches were really good, and I think that set against Axe, he probably should have had it, but it was an unfortunate end to a couple of those games.
Yeah. And then also, um, between Big House and this event too, Swedish was super hungry, like in terms of just like wanting to improve, and I think he worked the hardest, like outside of maybe like Music King, who just literally played the whole weekend. I think he worked. I think Swedish worked the hardest out of everybody there.
Wow.
Um, he was putting in sets. He was asking questions. He was being proactive on, getting feedback. He was by far the most hungry player there. And he beat West Balls. He has a lot of. He's like gone under the radar, and I don't quite put him in the top 25 tier, but he may be edging in with like maybe like a good Genesis performance in my book. Like that guy works really hard. And so everybody else, Plop, is. I feel like the 7 to 9 tier like flips and flops because like we
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
we see like
it was pretty much Axe and then Plup or West Balls in some order, and
Right.
then Plup was
Yeah, after
there was
CEO and
7.
Evo, it was like, yeah, Plup's definitely up
7,
at the top of those 3. And
and
then
then he went.
after like Paragon and Big House, it's like, wait a minute, I
Yeah,
think West Balls is at the top of this trio. And it's just like, no, what's the point anymore? I think they've clearly established themselves as that in that tier right below the gods and
Yeah.
able to crack in occasionally.
Okay, do you put Shroomed in that tier though?
Oh, it's hard to
I'm not going to
say.
do that yet.
It's hard to say,
I
dude.
mean, top 8 performance at Big House.
West Balls and Axe at Summit.
He,
But
yeah,
there's still
yeah.
just like he always has these odd losses.
He does.
But
you
so do
know,
all the other ones in that list.
Okay.
Like you can't just say Shroomed has it. Like you look at this year.
but it's
all of
more.
them have-
I feel like it's more. They're more conspicuous than the others.
Only Waffles against Plup.
Right. So
okay,
so that's
yep, sure.
West Balls
like-
against everybody.
Ken.
I don't. But
Eddie
I feel like
Mexico.
Axe doesn't have except he lost to Abate. Right.
Ooh,
They
they all have them. That's true.
Like look in the last 6 months, and I think because we know Shroom more and like we know more of his more of his wins and losses, we forgive the other 3 because we don't know as much about them because they're not in our region. Well, West Balls is. But you look at all of them; they roughly have the same amount of questionable losses, and Shroom attends nearly everything.
Yeah.
I am biased because I had Shroomed on my fantasy team for Evo, and that's the one national in the last 2 years where he got below 13th, and I was super pissed about that. So, but discounting that fact,
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you. I've seen that resume that you posted, the comparison between Plup and Shroomed. You know, if you just take away their names and just look at the records, yeah, it's pretty telling, dude. I think Shroomed, with his resume this year, definitely belongs in that tier with West Balls and Axe and Plup for sure.
So
Interesting.
we can talk about Tipped Off 11 now. Do you guys want to talk about Mango's Falco or no?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about it.
I missed. Tell me about Grand Finals because I missed Grand Finals.
Dude,
Oh no
you
way!
have to
You still
watch
haven't
it.
watched it?
Even taking 2 games off Armada with Falco
Crazy,
at
right?
this point seems fucking impossible. So I would love to know how he did it.
That's the first time we've seen the extended Falco Peach since Genesis 1. Am I correct?
I mean, we see it as a counter pick, but I don't think it's been played more than 3 games.
Yeah,
Or
more than a
2
couple games.
I mean,
in a row.
we've seen PP use Falco.
Yeah, I'm saying Mango
but not a
Falco
Mango,
versus
yeah.
Armada's Peach. That was a very nice change of pace. I'm so glad we saw it. Tafo, any thoughts?
It's very promising, and I posted that tweet up the other day, and I'm actually going to do a year-by-year graph of Mango's Fox and how much his win percentage has dropped over the last 3 years.
Ooh.
I might do different search queries, but even if you look at the top 6, that Fox is not aged well.
But you have to compare that to his overall non-Fox percentage. Because that might also have dropped as well.
That is also very true. So, but his Falco percentage, even against top 30, it has remained really solid. His Fox against the top 6, and even players Axe and a bunch of other people in the second tier, Axe, Plup, Drug Fox, top level Sheiks, that Fox is not cutting it anymore. And Mango's been on this dilemma. He's talked to a lot of people about what he should be doing in terms of character, and he just said, screw it. With Falco, I only have to win 3 matchups. And that's Peach, that's Falco. He has to relearn Falco Dittos, and he has to learn Puff. And he can do all those 3.
That's what I'm most curious about. Is he going to go Falco versus Hungrybox? We have not seen that in tournament, I think, ever. But there actually is plenty of evidence through friendlies on YouTube that he could do it. Although the matches are super old, there are matches out there where Mango's Falco does very well versus Hungrybox. So that's the next thing I kind of want to see. It'd be a super novelty matchup. I'd be so excited to see that next time they play.
I don't think people realize how hard that matchup actually is for Puff.
It is.
Because they only see...
Oh, sure. Puff main incoming. Puff main thoughts. Let's hear him, Sheridan. Come on.
Okay, well, I mean, what is our kind of data set for Puff versus Falco at the high level?
It's a million TP Hungrybox sets.
Right. And which happened long ago, which are not very many of. And when you take Hungrybox versus any other Falco, Hungrybox is just a better player, so it's just going to be destruction, right? So
Stab bodied soft at Evo, by the way.
yes,
Wow.
yes, that does not surprise me. Stab is very frustrating to play against.
How did Scar beat him at Big House?
I'm sorry, his name is Matt now. Stab if you're out there.
How did Scar beat him at Big House? I don't understand this. Okay, sorry, tangent.
Because Stab went Fox and he's a buster.
Okay, that explains it. All right, go on. Go on, Sheridan. Why is Puff Falco so bad?
I've lost my train of thought. However, Falco beats Puff. It's not.
Oh my god. Okay, I will say that's another unexplored matchup. Actually, name any matchup Puff versus X character that's not Fox, and it's probably unexplored, honestly.
Right. I mean, didn't Hungrybox play entirely Foxes in his top?
Did at Big House top 128, but there was like 4 people in there who don't main Fox, so
right.
It's kind of like that was his opponent's choice, which I don't know.
Which says something about
Atma, Zoo. There are a couple others who don't main Fox who just went Fox versus Hungrybox.
Well, they have lightweight secondary Foxes. All these guys, but yeah, and I think you guys will start to find as these matchups get explored that Falco, Fox, Marth, Sheik all beat Puff.
Oh, here we go.
At least 60-40.
Whoa!
Everybody in the house said that they feel sorry for Sheik mains that have to play Puff, and this includes people that don't main either character.
Sheik beats Puff, and it's not that close.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm a firm Sheik believer. I believe it's 50-50. But when I expressed in the house at the summit that I believe Sheik is 50-50 or could win, I got a roll of laughter from everybody in the house.
Puff's a bad character. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my! There's no universe in which Puff is lower than 6th at worst. Okay, that's like the literal bottom floor for Puff.
Right.
I think she's solidly 5th.
I will argue for 6th, but I completely accept and understand the 5th viewpoint.
Yeah,
I
she's 5th right now until we get some more Marths and Sheiks and Falco to explore that matchup and abuse whatever matchup advantages they have. She's 5th right now in this metagame.
The thing is, we only have one top Peach and we have one top Puff.
Yeah.
And there are way more second-tier Peaches than second-tier Puffs.
Yes.
Now, what I mean?
Oh, you're not about to say it. You are not about to say it. Are you about to say Peach beats Puff? Don't go there, Sheridan.
No. Puff beats Peach. However, Peach does better against all the other 4 characters than Puff does, with the possible exception of, I guess, Sheik.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully Mewtwo King tries a little bit of Marth or Sheik versus Hungrybox. Hopefully Mango tries the Falco. I think it'd be a disservice to their own skill level and talent not to try it for a couple sets at the biggest stage. It can't just be friendlies. It's got to be at a national or at least a very big regional for them to test it out.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that makes it interesting about having these big tournaments so often is every national doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all for like the next 6 months.
Right.
So you can take one to just explore and not, there's going to be another one.
Yeah.
And I think if when people start to really internalize that fact, then you're going to start to see the experience.
Yeah, dude. It's not 2011 anymore where you lose at a national to Hungrybox and you got to wait 6 months to play him. It's more like, oh, see you next month, Hungrybox. Where do I sign up? What's next?
Yeah.
That's good. Do you guys want to talk about Tipped Off a little bit?
Yeah, let's. So
we were watching that at Summit, and we were all just very confused.
Okay.
Like at the
So-
bracket or
Yeah. Because
So
we
my
were getting
first
random
question
tweets.
is,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
who is Jay Salt?
That is a good question. We're gonna need help from chat on that one
So
because
this
Is
the
Jay Salt Jay Fox?
I don't know.
So he beat Pork Chops and he beat Soft.
yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll wait for an answer from chat.
Yeah. But he
I
did
think
get
the
the
funny-
fortunate bracket of.
the-
Go ahead.
The funny thing is they, like a lot of tournaments, they had the winners bracket get pretty far ahead. I think it was at winners finals when losers
Mhm.
bracket was still like top 16. So as a result, on Twitter, everyone's like, "Oh, here's the list of people in losers," and we still have 16 people left. So it amplified the fact that there were no gods attending. There was only MIOM rank like 10 to
Mhm.
100. All these regional level players attending. So that was like that was a really interesting tournament to follow on social media with everybody dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like, if you saw the list, if when you get to like winners semis, if you saw the list of people in losers, you would have been like, oh well, it's Armada, PP, Manga, Mewtwo.
Yeah, exactly.
In
It's the
winner
gods
semis right
in
now.
winner semis. Everybody
know,
else
it's-
is sitting here in losers.
It's Professor Pro, Nun, Esam, and Wizrobe.
It's so weird. And
I think
beforehand,
that's
I
amazing.
had
Yeah.
discussions with many people. We talk about Summit, and then naturally we talk about Tipped Off before the weekends. Like, who's gonna win this thing? And everybody said like, and probably like stared into the abyss for 30 seconds before coming up with any answer. Because you look at the list, and it's like all of these players I would take for like maybe seventh at a national, but it's so hard to pick them to win.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to doing that. You're used to like saying, "Oh, here are the gods," and then here are these other players. But,
kind of like
yeah,
an
like-
Arcadian.
yeah, exactly. It was almost like an international Arcadian of sorts. That kind of has a negative connotation, but like the type of turnout composition that it entailed, it was a really interesting watch. I think there are other tournaments in history that have been kind of similar. There was Don't Go Down There, Jeff. Like Big House 1, Do You Fox with It?
hmm
Some of these tournaments where like, oh, there is somebody taking first who is not usually like a top 8 national
Yeah.
threat because of the turnout composition.
Yeah. This tournament probably lowered Ice's SSBM rank by like at least 4 of where he should probably be placed.
Ooh, bad timing too.
Yeah, that's
'cause
like
the
the
voting
worst
is
time
starting
for him.
real soon.
I feel so bad for him because I would have put him at like 11 or like 12-ish before
Ooh,
this.
wow.
And then having this, it's just like, ugh, I'm sorry, guys.
Dude, yeah, that matchup inexperience reared its ugly head again. Like I thought maybe that stage had passed him, but we saw it again. The struggle versus Puff, right?
So I had a
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I had a philosophical question for you
NP,
guys. So let's say we're looking strictly at like who played who in bracket. Let's
Okay.
say like instead of Drug Fox destroying Wizrobe in grand finals, they like trade sets 1-1. Who do you think had the better overall performance, given their brackets? Oh my!
Ooh, wow.
Like because Drug Fox lost early to Drunk Slot.
Yeah.
But
Right.
look at his bracket run. So it's kind of tough for me because like let's say the hypothetical played out. Yes, like the player A got through winners bracket and they got to grand finals, but like this player that ran through losers literally went through an onslaught.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous losers bracket run. Ice, Gravy, The Moon, Professor Pro, Javi, Nun,
Holy
and then Wizrobe in 2 sets.
damn.
But let's say they split. Like who has the big? Who
Right.
had the
Okay.
better-
So are you saying let's say they split and Wizrobe won?
yeah.
Hmm.
Because when we're evaluating right for like ranks and
Yeah.
stuff, we look at who people play.
Mhm.
But like you don't want to discredit the guy that just won. I mean, he didn't have the opportunity to go through the losers and play the same people. So like, and Leffen went through this argument with me, and I think it was a very valid one. Do we like simply shrug off that drunk slot loss and just look at the wins, or do we look at the person that just strictly plays better?
Oh.
Honestly, I still would prefer to look at more just the sets than the tournament placing.
So
So
this
I would say even if Wizrobe won the second set of grand finals, that Drug Fox's stock goes up more.
isn't that
Even if let's say Wizrobe and Drug Fox started from the same spot, given what happened in the tournament, I put Drug Fox's stock up more than Wizzy's.
it's interesting though, right? That
And
like
Yeah.
Sheridan, does that valuation come mostly from the fact that we have more data to work with? Drug Fox played twice as many sets, and he came out on top in all but one of them, or more that like, um, y-
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's almost because like if you look at the average skill of those players, right? As you go through winners and losers, even though the losers track is longer, when you
Mhm.
average the skill out, it should be roughly the same, right? The back end of losers and the front end of losers are similar to the back end of winners and the front end of losers or front end of winners. So yeah, it is. I think it's more due to what you said. It's just that you have more data. There's more chances for him to have screwed up in losers than Wizzy.
Yeah.
So you take that as being having a higher confidence that he is actually as good as his ranking.
I think there is something to say though about the ability to overall taking first at the tournament, getting over the hump and winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's actually been a lot of subsets of years where you look at a stretch of months where Mango has had a worse resume than Mewtwo King. If you just look at some of the set win-loss records against mutual opponents. But the difference is Mango, every 2 or 3 tournaments, he comes out on top. He gets first, and it might
Mm-hmm.
not matter that he busters out in the previous tournament, gets you know, fifth or something lower. He always has that rebound and gets first at a big major, and that's something Mewtwo King cannot say for himself. So I think because of that intangible like ability to get over the hump, take first. A lot of times I would look at Mango as a stronger player, stronger resume over that subset of the year than Mewtwo King. And I would internalize that. I would
Yeah.
think that, hey, Mango, when I'm seeding something at a national, that might be something I keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think we've all kind of had that exact same feeling about Mango. It's really difficult to put that into a model, especially like an ELO or TrueSkill or mathematical model for rankings. And it's even more difficult. Well, it's also very difficult for people who are doing, for example, the MIOM top 100 to
Yeah.
agree on
Oh
how
yeah.
much that's worth,
Yeah.
or
yeah.
even to just to articulate and convince other people that that's like a
Yeah.
valid
And
thing.
so what is interesting to me is because there were no gods at tipped off, we saw probably for the first time in a very long time, we were able to evaluate the ability of a Wizrobe or a Drug Fox to close out a tournament and get
Mm-hmm.
over the hump of other similarly skilled opponents and just take the whole tournament. So from that, I learned a lot about Wizrobe and Drug Fox, and I also learned a lot in a more negative fashion about players like Ice and Over Triforce. For
He
for
lost
for
to
this,
Donkey Kong as
yeah,
Sheik.
but for this very reason, like
That's
some people,
yeah.
they just bust her out, and other people have the mental strength to stay in there and take the whole tournament. This was
Mm-hmm.
a great data set for us to work with, even if it's just a few sets. But I think we learned a lot for MIOM rank.
So this like nicely segues into our next topic, right?
Yeah,
Um, so just to give a little background, it's about that I'm doing it a little bit later than normal, just because there's just so many tournaments this year that
yeah.
like every
Like where do you cut it off, right?
I'm
It's
Yeah.
cutting it.
it's
I'm cutting it
impossible.
off. I'm cutting it off at DreamHack.
Ooh, wow. But
Which is
then like
when.
you need time to write the profiles and get the images and everything, right? That'll
Okay,
be
so here's my strategy
When
this
is
year.
DreamHack?
It's in Thanksgiving weekend,
Thanksgiving
Okay.
weekend.
so that
Okay.
gives me a month. But I actually have a way of circumventing it.
Yeah, because I think if you didn't do it then, you would have to wait until Genesis was over,
Yeah. So I'm gonna
which is
do this.
also like a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, people
Um,
never like to see, SSBM rank 2015 in the year 2016, right? You
True.
almost wanna jump the gun a bit.
Yeah,
Right.
just like when you do the year in review, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. R.I.P.
Are you? So you don't have a 2015 draft,
I don't want to
Jugs?
talk about it. I'm so sad.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Okay.
so what I'm gonna do is this. Like, I can do some preliminary checks and do some just common sense analysis. Like, I can place players in four buckets, right? Like, definitely gonna make it, probably will make it, might have a chance, and definitely no. And if that
Yeah.
definitely will make it is like less than 100 or significantly less than 100, then I could just
Sure.
say, here, can you make these profiles for me?
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I do have that as a leeway. The big mess I have is do I change the way we go about voting? Because NBA rank, which is what the SSBM rank is modeled off of, they just had like I think like 30 to 100 people just like pick between two people and say like which one will like do better like in the next tournament given their 2015 performances, and then they just click a button, and that's how they did it this year. But given that, let's say I trimmed the list to 150, there were a lot of nominations, and a lot of them I'm just scratching my head over as I'm looking at the list. Like GG7, you haven't really attended anything this year.
Wait, that guy's still alive?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Vortex, I don't even know who the hell you are. Teal, like. Anyway, Ronzel, like who are these people? So I'm gonna trim.
I think
the
this
list.
is they just wanted you to read their names out on MIO.
Yeah,
they
that's
actually
it.
have
Yep.
legit like things like, oh, this guy periodically beats a good player.
That's always the argument. Like, yo, this dude occasionally has wins over X current MIOM player.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's like, wait a minute, but what is he doing at Nationals? What are his losses? Oh, I conveniently did not mention that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I forget the formula. So let's say like I trim this list down to 150 because even the people that did auto qualify, like Ben Teasy, sorry Ben Teasy, you're not good enough to be on this list. Bray
Yeah.
and Broken You, like, so let's say I just trim it down to 150. I'm wondering like if I got like 100 people, which may actually be a little ambitious, like how many combinations do they have to vote on, like before we get like a decent enough consistent sample size? Because what's like 150? Like how many handshakes can you do with 150 people? Or you need
N times N minus 1 over 2.
It's the round robin formula.
So that's 11,175 combinations.
Oh boy.
So I'm wondering like if ESPN.com like did something where like they would stop pairing people that like it obviously is player A over player B.
Right.
So actually, when you do Monte Carlo sampling of parameter space, I think you actually only need close to square root of the parameter space. So like, I think you need. Let's see. I think
you have
you
officially
need,
lost me.
I think you would only need about 1,000.
But like with that nitpick, like the smaller like 30th versus 31st.
Right. Well, it depends on. I mean,
so
it
people
depends
were
on how much.
Well, can we backtrack a little bit? So,
Yeah.
Daniel, is the methodology going to be different this year? It's going to be more similar to the NBA rank, where there's an automated like application of sorts, and panelists pick like this guy over this guy, and then they do repeat a bunch of times.
Remember what I did for the summit? I had that little button on my page.
Okay, right. I just wasn't sure if we had confirmed that that's the methodology being used at SSBM Rank this year.
This is where I'm going to need to talk to Sheridan privately. I thought about it, but I'm wondering, like, you know, when I did this in 2013, I didn't think it was going to be this serious. I took it just on my shoulders, like, hey, this is for laughs.
Oh, it's a ranking. It's always going to be serious.
Now it's gone to the point where it's validated, and sponsors, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the summit, the 10 players invited, were influenced by the summer 2015 ranks.
Yeah.
Like, and so I have to make sure that, you know, at least at the very like top 30, because it's going to deviate like from 31 to 100. It's inevitable. Like that, it doesn't ruin.
Like, you got to be a little more responsible with some of this
but
some of this stuff right this year.
every method has its flaws, and
Mm-hmm.
like if I go with the old method of rate a player from 1 to 10, well, like nobody knows what 1 to 10 is, and everybody's going to have their own subjective opinion on it. And what the NBA rank guys were saying was that push a button to compare the two was significantly easier for them to evaluate players.
Yeah.
And that was one of their biggest complaints of doing it the previous years. So I was figuring that that's the issues that we had. But then I haven't tested this out. Like if I once I get this data set and I work really hard and let's say I get like 100,000 data points and it just turns out to be really bad, then like I don't have a SSBM rank for 2015.
So you know what you can do? I think one interesting thing to do just as a starting point, just for like exploring the data, is why don't you build let's do like a true skill ranking, start everybody off equal, and then get like your crowdsourced match results and input those as basically simulated match results. So like you're simulating a data set of matches over a year using the crowdsourced events, and just feed that into TrueSkill and see what kind of results you get.
I mean, I've seen that. Andrew Nautico and a few other people have done it. That puts like Daryl above Pew Pew, and it puts like Luigi Kid.
Wait. How does it do that?
He did like every tournament above like 100 something people, and like Luigi Kid was at 36 above Kirby Kaze. Like
what model did he use for that?
I think they used
seriously just TrueSkill. Okay, but the thing is, when you do every tournament, you don't have an approximately equal distribution of matches for every player. If your simulated match will, because you'll be picking them at random. So every player will have approximately the same number of matches that they have played. Whereas if you take every tournament, that's not the case.
Right, but then there's the standard deviation, and what they did was filter out people with like not enough matches, and that still happened.
But the standard deviation, I mean, so it will be. It's still like when you have the more matches you get, it's really difficult to compare because it's. You want me to drop some sick terminology on you? It's not heteroskedastic, which means that
I don't even know what that means.
That means that they don't have equal variance.
Okay.
So even if you do that, I'm not sure that really gets at the problem. And I think you should still
press 1 if Sheridan lost you a few minutes ago.
I think you should still. The point I'm making is that even if you just even if you just truncate the list based on number of matches, that's still not going to get to the problem of kind of the vast swings in standard deviations because of the difference in number of matches that people have played.
Right.
Daryl hasn't played that many matches. Somebody like the people on the East Coast that upload every single weekly event to SSBM Rank, some random guy there is going to have a ton of matches.
Well, we filtered it out to like only tournaments like above like 150 people.
I'm still not confident that. I still feel confident that doing it the way that I suggested would give you different and sensical results.
All right, so the people spoke in the Twitch chat, and there's a lot of confused heads out there. I think we should move to.
Okay.
Because the reason it's really important is that TrueSkill, the standard deviation plays a part in your ranking on TrueSkill.
I tried, guys.
What TrueSkill does is it takes the mean of everything, and then it subtracts a certain number of standard deviations to give you your actual score.
Right.
So you have to make sure that if they can't have equal standard deviations even in principle from like the sample that you're drawing from, then I don't know if you can make meaningful comparisons.
We really can't for 100 people, and if you look at it, the number of interactions that people within the 100 list have is very minimal.
But you don't need to have 100 by 100 or 100 by 99.
Yeah, but we don't really even have close to that. Like
All I'm saying is, run the experiment, and I think you'll get good results.
Okay.
Yo, where
You'll not
that
give Daryl above Pew Pew.
PPU was at 23 on that list, just for.
where is that around the horn mute button for Sheridan? We're losing viewers,
Hey,
Sheridan.
You know what? If you want a good list, it requires work. You can't just push some buttons. You got to think about the model that you're using.
I actually want to see how
People
the crowd.
Everybody wants to be a weightlifter, but they don't want to lift those weights.
So, but you know what's crazy? So I thought, over the weekend or like the days leading into the tournament, I got 68,800 sample points in like 2 days.
Oh my!
Easy.
Because like people just love pressing those buttons, man.
What if you get someone who abuses it and just trolls?
Yeah.
Well,
do you have like an ID for every?
Just a safeguard in there?
So what I'm gonna do for this? So what I did was I checked IPs. So that's not much of a safeguard, I know. What I'm gonna do for the SSBM rank is I'm gonna have logins with like PIN numbers.
Ooh, that'll do it.
Yeah, and I would hope that like nothing fishy happens. I mean, I could run a sanity check.
I mean, with SSBM rank though, you're talking to panelists, so you can trust them not to mess with the data, right?
I can trust them, but okay, if I'm getting like 100 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this random European guy that I've been arguing with. He's actually a figurehead, so like I actually have to somewhat respect his opinion. He wanted guys like Eagle and Dom.
What is Eagle?
Who the hell is that?
Okay, that's exactly my point.
Hey, but this is interesting because you could give a separate data set to European people who actually know who these people are, and you could see approximately where they might fall, if you do this true skill experiment.
They like highly so. I mean, I've shown you some ballots in 2013, right?
Yeah.
All those really questionable ballots actually mostly came from international players. Either they were from Europe or they were from Canada. Like,
I
mean, SFAT was like a 4 out of 10 on that, or whatever number he was.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I mean, I had to take out those because like they were just so like ridiculous. So I'm like, how do I? Okay, I'm not asking you for next year. So like, But then like once again, like I form biases, right? Like what's objectively determines like that a person is totally whack and does not know.
I'm gonna throw out another 6 stats term.
God damn it!
You can do what's called Windsorization on those instead of throwing them out entirely. What that means is, so if you have the people that are just way out in the distance on like how good SFAT is, for example. Like if you have the people that are at 4, what you do is you instead bring all those people up to the 95% level and just say, oh, that just means they think he's bad, not that he's 4 out of 10. That's instead of throwing those votes out entirely. Okay. So at least you retain some information about them.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with it. Now, my next 2 steps, by the way, I'm going to have to put out a form because I'm going to have to beg people. And this is like the worst part of doing SSBM rank every year, is begging people to do it. Oh, God, I hate doing that.
I think it would be really sick to see a comparison of like your head-to-head experiment versus an MIOM rank.
Daniel,
what should I do?
You should just appoint regional liaisons and get them to contact the people who you actually want. So you have one middleman, because that person's going to be more effective. If you have one European liaison and they talk to like the 5 or 6 other people, that'll be more effective than you trying to get to 7 people.
So
in my opinion.
So I've done that last year.
Then you can hold one person responsible.
Yep. Then you'd be like, yo, this one person fucked up.
Well, so I've done that last year, and I did that with certain regions, because East Coast, I'm going to call you guys out, you guys sucked. Like,
damn.
Oh my gosh. You guys were all late, incomplete. Like, oh my god.
Well, they're 3 hours ahead, so,
No, just, like, come on, you had 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
West Coast bias. which we found out was not actually real, according to
Yeah.
your,
It was more
Social
like
media
West,
monsters, man. Hey, MIOM bias, guys.
West Coasted on
West
me.
Coasted on me.
Hey, what's up with West Coasted on me? Stop being
Um,
biased.
But we haven't
Get out
talked
of
about
here.
the real difficulty in doing this ranking, which is what exactly are we ranking?
so I mean, I think you and I already agree on it because we're coming to a close already, like 8:40. Robin probably has to sleep soon. Like based on like, I think my definition is this: like based on what you've seen from them, both from a quality standpoint and a quantitative and volume, like like who do you think will perform the best? Like if we had like 100 tournaments tomorrow and like average, that
Yeah,
was like our
I
definition.
like that.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and and I want to emphasize volume here because um, there are a lot of people that had like one good performance this year, and I'm worried that they're gonna ride or die that,
Hmm.
or like
Right.
that's the only performance they have.
Exactly.
So I
So
want to
I feel like,
emphasize quality and quantity too.
yeah, definitely like having that preface in the question is really important.
Yep.
So basically, the the debate that I think kind of plague, and plague isn't the right word, but was very present in our kind of midterm rankings was, are we ranking who we think is going to win tomorrow, or are we ranking who had the best overall performance during that time? And the answers to those questions are not always the same.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like if in NFL, for example, if you have a team that went 0-4 and then they win the next 12 games, compared to a team that was 13-3, but those losses were spread out during the year. I think you have to say the 12-4 team is
Oh yeah.
hotter and they're more likely to win.
Mhm.
So the question, but of course, the 13-3 team is going to get a higher seed in the bracket.
Yeah.
So you're being asked two different questions, which is who's getting the higher seed in the bracket, and who do you actually think is more likely to win? And
And
my opinion is that this should be looked at as, like we said, if there's a tournament tomorrow, who has the best shot?
Do you guys think this? So I'm having a moral dilemma here. Um, there's a guy that on Facebook that has actually been helping me a lot lately. I forget his name. Starts with a K. Needless to say, like for the nomination list, he actually has the results or like the placements of everybody on that list, and he's gonna get me the new nominees on that list of how they performed at every major and super major in the year. Do you think I should put that underneath the players?
I think yes, because it gives more context to what we're talking about. Like if you put, I don't know, Plup X, these two people on the interface, we're not evaluating who's going to win head to head. We're evaluating if there's 100 tournaments run tomorrow, who's going to do better in most of those tournaments, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
with that being said, I think you do need to put the placings. I think the context helps a lot. If they got 4th at Evo versus 17th at Evo, that tells me a lot.
Okay.
And that'll play into my decision whether I choose Plup or X.
And because most people
Mhm.
aren't going to know that off the top of my head, and I do
Yeah.
want to make it easier for the voters because they're not going to know who Captain Face Roll is, or they're not going to. Not a lot of people know who Azusa is or Crush. They're good players, but like they're not going to know off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Crush got like 65th at Evo and 97th at
Mhm.
this.
Yep. But I think you need to choose those tournaments wisely, the ones that you show on there, because obviously like 4th at Tipped Off is not the same as 4th at CEO or Big House. It's just there's different turnout compositions there. So
Right. So I'm gonna separate it. I'm gonna like have like a separate table that up top
Yeah.
that's at super majors and
right, but a cheat sheet of major placings, I don't think that hurts.
Yeah, but the only thing is, like, there's been so many this year. How do you avoid clutter? Like, I mean, when you, I'm thinking about like the format that we have for 2014, where you have the picture, results, and like short player profile, and then like the blurb, right?
Yeah.
So in 2014, we just had what Apex, Evo, CEO, Big House
Yeah.
placements. Now that's 4 is not going to be sufficient. So how are you going to? I mean, it might get too cluttered if you list every national and regional.
Well,
So
so I
it's
just
and you want to, but you if you do it on a player by player basis, that's a lot of work and a lot of sifting through. Like you got to have some kind of rule that you can easily use to fill it out.
well, I mean, so I have it in a Excel spreadsheet, and I can just dump it into a database and have it pull
Mm-hmm.
every time on my Taco Stats website.
But the thing is, if you're not going to pick out every single regional and national that the players went to, which you can't because there's just too many to fit in that box, you're going to have to make some sub selection of all of
Well,
those to
I
decide
was
which
thinking
to put
about
in.
two. Well, I was thinking of this. It's like a column versus a column, right? And then underneath, like their name, you just have it listed out in a table, in a two-column table.
It's going to be
It'd be
like
a lot of real estate
it'll be
on
a
that
lot. Yeah,
page.
exactly.
I mean,
Especially like
just for voting, right? I'm not. This isn't the.
Uh-huh.
This
Right.
isn't.
I
hmm.
see.
This is just for
Okay.
voting,
I thought you
not
were
the actual
talking about
final.
like
No,
the
no, no, no,
published
no,
list. All right.
no, 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 no.
Right.
For the actual
That's a
published thing.
fantastic idea then.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. So, so the two steps, if the audience, I'm gonna have to put out a form for like everybody who's interested, and I'm probably gonna have to do some outreach. Regional representatives definitely a good idea. I'm closing down the nomination list. Maybe I could work with you on Sheridan. So basically, here's where we're at, just for transparency. I did get an automated list of people who top 64 super majors, top 16 majors, and top 8 European majors. It got them in a list, and I sent out for the past like week and a half, like, hey, if this player didn't make the list, like you can nominate someone, let me know why they deserve it, and I make the decision of whether or not they are active and good enough to make the list. And then now I need judges,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep. Anything else?
I don't know.
No, Sheridan,
we
you're
got
benched. Too much stats
What?
for me tonight. Too much stats. I can't handle it.
All right. I'm sorry, Rob.
Oh, there is one stat I want to share. 10-0.
What?
Are you referring to the Golden State Warriors?
Yes.
Oh wow.
We are really
That-
good this year.
You think they're gonna get to 73 wins?
No. I think the
I thought it
stat
was-
line.
72 is the record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. There was
It's-
that debate on PTI this afternoon that I was watching. I think it's very 50-50 in my eyes right now.
Mathematically speaking, they said it was about like at 4 to 5% right now.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
never mind.
It's really hard. Like
I know it's
like-
really hard.
Like
yeah.
even at this point, they have to go 62-10, and that's still really hard to do.
Well, 63
Oh, yeah.
and 9 really to break
Yeah.
it. But yeah.
Yeah, a 10-0 start is a really good padding to that
Yeah.
though.
It's all it is just like one extra loss that you can afford if we're going to go by a constant win-loss rate. Yeah, it's like it's insane because
Yeah.
as a Warriors fan right now, like I get nervous if we're only up by 10. That's like how good we have it right now.
If they were in the Eastern Conference, maybe there'd be a much better chance.
Yeah. Like there was like something posted in the Warriors thread saying like it was like first world problems and there were like 3 buzzer beaters yesterday that like ended up like winning the game. We're like we'll never be able to experience like a buzzer beater for a win. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, have all the wins been by like double digits or almost all of them?
Yeah, we won against the Grizzlies by 50 this year.
I saw that. That was
What?
quite
I'm
a
wondering
showing.
like what percentage of play time they've actually not held a lead.
It's like really
Yeah.
minor. So
Yeah,
we
like-
don't-
There's obviously like a lot of variance at the very beginning of the game, but
Yeah,
like
it'd just be like in the first quarter, probably.
yeah.
we've only won by single digits once, and that was against the Nuggets. But the Clippers by 4. But every other game we've like crushed teams by at least 10.
Hmm.
Like betting lines are like Warriors plus 16. or minus 16.
Damn, which is very significant in an NBA game.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have anything else.
All right, yeah, that's.
We got the preview of. I don't know anything about these events, so I hope you guys do.
Sorry,
Eclipse.
not me either.
Eclipse in
European
Europe?
tournament. I feel that Leffen and Armada are probably going to be there. I think Plup might be there too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is there anybody making the trek for Eclipse and DreamHack? So staying the 2.5 weeks. Now
Let's see.
that would be interesting. I have not been following, so I don't know if any Americans are going over there for the 2 weeks.
Actually, is Plup going? So, Plup X and West. So Plup X and West Balls will be there. So it looks like top Europeans plus mainly them three. Actually, it's like the three people
nice.
like right underneath the quote unquote.
That's super exciting.
Sick.
I can't wait to see some Leffen versus those three because it's been a few months now.
I want to see Plup versus Leffen.
Oh, of course, everybody does.
I think based on some soft nerfs to a lot of the top players, I think Plup is actually going to go full Samus for this event, if I'm not mistaken.
Woo! Now that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Are we gonna have enough time for a DreamHack preview? Maybe we could do like a mini thing next week about DreamHack.
Yeah, maybe next week because 2 weeks from now it's gonna be Thanksgiving time. Yeah, I'll be down for a preview.
Yeah. So DreamHack, Eclipse, support the European scene. They actually have a pretty good site called Smash
Europe, right?
SmashRanking.eu. It's actually a really good site.
Okay.
So if you guys could post that in the chat, if you're ever curious about European players, there's a lot of stuff here. I think they track everything for European events, so it's really comprehensive and really nice to look at. This is something that, like a global Tafokints, like I would love it to look like this if we somehow could get every tournament in one database.
All right, sounds good.
Alrighty.
Next
Anything
week
else?
then?
Yes.
All right, I'll be down for that.
Sounds good. All right.
And don't forget, Dingus Master will be publishing One's Melee tomorrow. If you want the details for these tournaments for like their streams, we also have, of course, the Michigan Arcadian this weekend, right?
And that's gonna be streaming, I believe, on the Melee It On Me Twitch channel for a little extra exposure for our Michigan homies.
And then
our unranked Michigan homies.
SSS on Sunday, I believe, this week. So there's a good, good Melee weekend.
And apparently something called Rewired in Arizona. I bet Nick, our producer, knows something about that.
It'll be in Wen's Melee. I want to go to sleep.
Dude, Wen's Melee is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Dingus. He's the man.
We got him a sweater for that reason.
Well deserved.
Yeah. It's like winning a golf green jacket. You win.
And
I don't know if it's that prestigious yet.
No, it is. There's only 9 of us. There's only 9 or 10 of us that have it.
Fair enough.
I feel like you haven't made it until you get a Moxie drawing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You got to get one of like the MIOM crew.
Oh yeah, I got to get them to do one.
Commission. Actually, that's a good idea. We can do it for our current team. And then we can have retirees in the background, like Prague and stuff, because they're
and Cactus. Yeah.
The alumni.
Yeah. All right, that's a good idea.
Yeah, do that as part of the Genesis stuff. I don't know. Find a way.
Donate to us to get an MIOM drawing. I don't think
that sounds.
Find a way to incorporate it, Sheridan. Handle it.